Winterizing your RV, why you need to do it. This is Eric Stark with the Smart RVer podcast, delivering the smarts you need to enjoy the freedom of the RV lifestyle without the fear of breaking down. So today we're doing the show a little bit different. We're going to record it for YouTube, and we're going to do this from here on out. Each episode will be available on YouTube. So if you're listening, via podcast, whether it's iTunes or Spotify or another channel, might sound a little bit different, but we're going to try to focus more on the audio of it than the video. So it's not going to be a big show and tell thing. Although if you want to go back and watch the video later on, it'll definitely be on YouTube as each episode gets published. So Alexis is with us this morning. How are you doing today, Alexis?
Hello, I'm doing good today, Eric.
Well, that's good. So here we are. We're ready to talk about the RV life, living the RV life. So this time of year, the leaves are changing around the country, or we're getting into it, and it's really quite a sight to see. They start changing color, and it kind of inspires people to get out and view nature, which, that's a great thing to do. It's one way to get out and get a little exercise, but more than that, it's a great way to get out and use your RV. So with an RV, you can go anywhere you want. If you think the leaves are changing, you want to see it on the West Coast, the East Coast, you can just take off and go. Here in Montana, they're starting to change, starting to fall on the ground. So I'm already dreading the great big cleanup of making leaves forever.
Me too.
And it piles up. I remember last year, God, we had so many leaves, it just seemed like endless. We tried burning them, that didn't work. It's just a chore no matter what.
Did you jump in them?
No, I took pictures of them.
Oh, good.
So, no jumping in them. That'll hurt my legs too much. So, if you're thinking about that, wanting to get away, maybe plan your trip around where the leaves are, where they're going to be falling. You're going to see the change of seasons, as it were. The East Coast, I think, is more popular for it, has a bigger reputation for it, but leaves change in a lot of different areas, big trees. So check it out on a map. You can go and look. In fact, we have a link called, it's the leaf peeping map. So it sounds kind of odd, but that's going to be on our website, thesmartrver.com, under the RV life section, actually under this episode as well. So if you want to go out and explore and find some different areas to go check out the leaves, now's a great time to do it. Start planning now. So by the time this episode airs live, it'll already be happening. But nonetheless, get out and do it. It goes on for quite some time, October, November, and it's really awesome to see. Sometimes even just seeing the leaves on the ground around the trees is pretty cool looking, because you see the massive amounts of them,
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people don't even clean them up, so they're there for months until the snow comes.
It's a great look.
That's right. So now we're going to get to the nuts and bolts of the show, staying on the road. And today we're going to talk about winterizing your RV and why you need to do it. So winter is coming. It might seem a little early for this. Maybe there's not snow on the ground where you're living and the weather's still, somewhat decent during the day. Might still be okay to go out RVing. But there can be a lot to do to prepare. It's not just a 5-minute thing. It's not something you just wake up and I'm going to do this today, because you might only do half of it. You're probably busy getting your house ready, maybe getting the yard kind of cleaned up, getting all them leaves out of there. So there's a lot going on. And so, it might make the to-do list overwhelming. And we don't want the to-do list to be overwhelming. What we really want is for you to be able to do this without stressing out. And that's why I'm here. This is my goal, to help you do that, the stress reliever. So you're still going to be work, but we're going to try to make it easier. So don't stress. Just do it as you can do it. Just the main thing is to get the fresh water done before it starts freezing. That's the most important part of winterizing, to get that fresh water system done. Otherwise, you'll just have ongoing problems come springtime. You don't want to miss that one. But let's break it down first. You have the inside of the RV, you have the outside of the RV. The inside basically consists of the fresh water system. The outside of the RV is everything else that, should be looked at, maintained at some level before you go into storage. It's not mission critical, but it's always good to just do it. That way you have one good last look at your RV before it does start snowing or it gets too cold to really do anything. You get that wet weather, all of a sudden leaks appear. It's harder to fix a leak when it's raining out or snowing or the roof's covered in snow than now when it's dry or drier. So let's start with the tires. So if you have an RV, whether it's a motorhome or trailer, fifth wheel, travel trailer, doesn't matter, air up the tires, check them all. Whether they're in great shape or not, that's a different story, but just get them all aired up. And, motorhomes have their maximum capacity. All trailer tires should be at their maximum air pressure capacity. It's set on the side of the tire, the maximum PSI. So you want to do that. Make sure they're aired up, because more than likely during the wintertime, you're not going to be doing that. You're not going to go out there with an air hose and compressor and air up your tires. And you might not be able to see if they're low or not anyways. So air them up. And then take a look at your batteries. If they're lead acid batteries, if you're going to leave them out in the cold and they're going to freeze, make sure they're charged first. If you don't have a way to charge them outside, then take them out, bring them inside, and get them charged up. And since you have them out, you might as well leave them out. There's the ongoing debate over whether batteries can freeze or not freeze, or be left in the freezing temperature, I should say. Batteries can't freeze, but whether they should be left in the freezing cold. So that's a personal decision. There's a lot of people that just make sure they're charged up before the wintertime hits, before they go into storage, or they leave the RV plugged in so it's constantly charging. And we are talking about lead acid batteries right now, or AGMs. The ones that, those are the two. Mm-hmm. And lead acid would include golf cart batteries, because they're lead acid batteries. See, the problem, if you leave them not charged up, they will definitely freeze, and then come springtime, you might have to buy new batteries. Sometimes they can come back from that, sometimes they can't. A lot of people just err on the side of caution, take the batteries out. It takes 10, 15, 20 minutes maybe, depending on how your RV's wired. Maybe take a picture of it if the wiring is complex, or make a note of it, or mark the cables where they go. So it comes springtime, you're not guessing. You're not burning something up because you wired it wrong, which that happens when it comes to batteries. Sometimes they get wired wrong. Even the best of the best can make mistakes with that. So you want to avoid that. Now let's talk about lithium batteries for a moment, to charge or to remove, or to even heat them. Lithium batteries, they can freeze, but it's better if they don't. And you can use them while they're freezing. If it's freezing out, you can discharge a lithium battery, but you can't recharge it, usually in the 32 degrees and under range. Every battery has its own little specifications there, but let's just stick at 32 degrees because that's a freezing temperature. So you can discharge, but you can't recharge. So if you know you're not going to be using the RV and you have lithium batteries in it, just take them out for the winter time. Unless you have bags that go around the batteries to heat them. And that's the best way to heat a lithium battery, is the bag, not an internal heater like some brands might have and really sell that as a great way to heat. But the heat should be evenly dispersed around the battery, working its way in. So, most people are just going to take the lithiums out because it's such a huge investment. They don't want to take a chance of damaging them. And that makes sense. That's probably what I would do. Well, that's what it is, what I do, even with all my batteries. They all come out during the wintertime. I got some NOCO chargers. They're smart chargers, and just hook them up and let them go. You can get them where they work on 1 bank, 2 banks, 3 banks, 4 banks, so forth, and they're great to have, easy to use. And they're smart, so they're going to charge it properly. So you can put them on and forget about it.
So even if you have a good warranty, you should still take them out. You don't want to mess with that? Is that what you're kind of recommending?
That's what I'm recommending. And so, speaking of a warranty generally you find out whether it's good or bad when you need it. It's kind of like insurance. Like those people in Florida, they're finding out a lot of those insurance companies now are going bankrupt.
Yeah.
So it's better to err on the side of caution. And those chargers aren't that expensive, especially compared to a battery. If you have more than one, makes life easier. And you'll always have a use for it, even during the summertime,
Yeah.
Battery goes dead or something happens, you got a way to charge them up.
That's true.
Okay, so we're going to jump from the ground to the roof now. And the roof, you want to get up there, and, I push the roof. Actually, everything we talk about is kind of a repeat sometimes, but we're going into winter storage, so you don't want any leaks to happen on the roof. You want to try to prevent as many as possible. Because remember, you're going to park that RV and maybe walk away from it for 4, 5, 6 months. And, there's hot days, cold days, and so that water, the snow is melting, freezing. So the water can leak in and be causing damage that you're not even aware of until you go back in the springtime and like, holy smokes, what happened? There's water everywhere, the signs of water.
Mm-hmm.
So now is the time. It's warmer. It's a better time to get up there and check the roof for leaks. Make sure your all the seals around the vents and the seams are sealed, that there's no broken spots. If you have a rubber roof, get up there with some lap sealant, and don't go crazy with it. Just fix where it looks like there's a potential for a leak. Make sure your vent lids are good. If you have Max Air or Camco vent covers or another brand, peek in there, make sure the lids are not cracked or anything. If they are, just replace them. It's easier to do it now, like I said. Check the skylights too. Don't forget about the skylights and even the plumbing vents. Just get it all done while you're up there. Some of these things can be a disaster in the winter, or if the roof is covered with snow and they do break or crack. Even getting up there and cleaning the roof off during the winter time, because it happened to me, a skylight broke. Not the best time to have a skylight break when there's snow on the roof of your RV. And having the snow on the roof, it starts way up, or, gets heavy, and so you might see the roof bowing on the inside. A lot of newer RVs have the curved roofs, or at least trailers do.
Yeah.
For better or worse, but you still want to get that snow off if you can. It can cause problems, and it also hides everything. If something did just break, you wouldn't even know it because the snow's covered it. So it's also going into your RV and checking it out once in a while in the wintertime too, making sure everything's good. So you're going to take care of everything on the roof, maintain it all, get it done. And so you want to just get outside and inspect the rest of the RV. I talked about this in episode 107. So you might want to go back and listen to it, because there's a lot of things on the outside of the RV that might need to be resealed. You got hatches, you got latches, doors, refrigerator access doors, you got lights, you have all sorts of stuff, the trim on the roof and the sides. So inspect all of that. Make sure there's no problems there, because if there are, that water will get in there, and don't underestimate what water can do. It doesn't take much. And once it starts getting in there, mold starts, the deterioration starts, it starts to rot away, and that's it. It will just keep on going. So you want to stop that. So now, if you want to cover your RV, that's a question that, we get asked a lot. I get asked a lot. It sounds good in theory, but is it good in theory? An RV cover will cover the RV, depending on where you're at, the kind of weather you have. Maybe it's great. If you have a lot of rain, then the cover might be the perfect thing, especially if your roof's a little spotty and you get a cover that has Tyvek on the top of it or something that's waterproof. That will definitely help and protect the roof, and that obviously will protect the rest of the RV. But sometimes, the cover is going to get loaded down with snow, and that might cause it to tear because the weight starts piling up, and it might catch a corner on the air conditioner or something else, and it might tear it. Or you get up there to clean the roof, and you might tear it. You're getting a shovel, trying to be careful, and you tear it. Or you start pulling on it, trying to shake the snow off. And, if it's powder, it'll come off. But if it's frozen, that becomes a problem. So that's a personal decision. You have to kind of look at where you're at and really decide if the cover is going to be worth it or not. If your RV is in good shape, remember the winter time is wet, but it doesn't have the harsh UV rays like the sun time or summertime does. So covering it might not be that big of a deal in the winter time, where as soon as it thaws out and spring comes, maybe you want to get the cover on it to protect it from the sun. That's probably causes the most damage. And during the wintertime, it's not nearly as harsh. So that's a personal decision. Now, we're going to get to the fresh water system. So this is the big one. This is the most important one. Well, besides the roof leaks. Are you going to use air or antifreeze? Are you going to blow it out? Are you going to buy one of these blowout plugs. It's in the package, might be hard to see. So it screws into the city water hookup. You hook an air hose up to it and blows out your water system. Now, I'm not going to get into the details of how to do this. We're going to talk more of which one is better, which one should you do. On the website at thesmartrvr.com, under this podcast, episode 109, there's going to be instructions there to do it either with air or RV antifreeze. So either one will be there, and it's pretty thorough. It covers it all. Now, there's some variations, too. With each RV, sometimes things are plumbed a little bit different. They're made differently. So the instructions might not match it 100%. So be realistic in your expectations. It's not going to walk you maybe 100% through your RV, but it's going to get you close because that's the way instructions are sometimes, especially with an RV. Okay, so to use air or antifreeze. You know, it's a tough question because some technicians prefer air, some prefer antifreeze. We sell a lot of antifreeze and we sell a lot of these blowout plugs. So it's a kind of a toss-up. Alexis, Would you agree with that?
Oh, yeah. We sell 50-50 of both.
Yeah. You know, people buy more antifreeze. Someone might come in and buy 3 or 4 or 5 gallons of antifreeze, but you're only going to buy one blowout plug.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's where it might seem like we do more antifreeze, but well, all in all, it's a sale, you know, if you break it down to sales.
Right.
And then there's the people that do both. They blow it out with air, and then they run antifreeze through the system because they don't want to take any chances.
They're overachievers.
Overachievers. There you go. You know, so it's definitely a trade-off, but here's the thing. If you do it yourself, you're going to save money. Even if it doesn't go as planned, and come springtime, you have to replace a water valve. Maybe the water valve in the toilet cracked, a faucet cracks. You know, a water pump gets a little more expensive, but, you know, that's right in there with a faucet, though, depending on what faucet, if one were to break. So sometimes, no matter what, you're going to be money ahead. And the other side to that is, if you do it yourself, you know more about your RV. Because what we get in the store sometimes is people, they don't even have a clue how to get to anything on the RV. Where's my water pump? And they literally don't know where the water pump is. They don't know where the back of the water heater is. You know, it's on the back of the water heater. How do we get to it? You know, there's probably an access panel. They've never seen it, or maybe they've seen it 1,000 times, but they never associate it with anything. It's just something the manufacturer of the RV put in. So it helps familiarize yourself with the RV. And Alexis, do we not have a lot of do-it-yourselfers that come into our store?
Oh, all the time. Yeah, definitely.
Right. We have a lot of them, and, you know, they're all learning, and it's interesting because it's a learning curve.
Very much.
So, you know, and I'm not trying to discourage anybody from doing it. It's just the reality. Sometimes these things are there, and you don't even know it. They're there. I mean, we hear it all the time. No, there's no switch. There's no way there's a switch on the wall for that. I'm telling you, there's a switch. And they go back, and they call us later on, yeah, I found it. There is a switch. You're right. So it's not a matter of being right or wrong. It's just we have a clue, and we're trying to help everybody else to get a clue, make you the smart RVer. And so doing it yourself is not that hard. So don't panic, you know, take a deep breath, and you can do this. And if you don't get it 100% right the first time or the second time, no big deal, because I'll guarantee you shops bungle it too. And RV technicians bungle it. And what happens when a shop does it, sometimes they make it sound like, oh, yeah, come springtime, if anything's broken, we'll cover it for you. That's not always the case. The first thing they're going to say is, or accuse you of doing, is taking your RV out and using it. Then you did a haphazard re-winterize on it. That happens almost every time, unless you have a really good shop you go to. So don't sweat it. Even the professionals make mistakes here. So, you know, I can't recommend one or the other. You know, if you know you're not going to use your RV for 5 or 6 years, then don't do anything. It'll just freeze one winter, and every winter thereafter, it's already winterized, right? I mean, that's kind of what I did with my RV. Not intentionally, but that's what happened. But make a choice, and if you want to do both, do both. It doesn't matter if you want to run the air through it, then run RV antifreeze through it. That's fine too. But make the decision and just stick with it. And don't overthink think it. You can only get so much water out of the system. You know, there will always be some water left in it. Even running antifreeze through it, sometimes a little bit of water gets stuck someplace in a crevice of a valve or whatever, and it still might freeze. Those things happen. But just follow the instructions, and all of the winterizing stuff, you know, the water heater bypass kits, they have instructions on it. There's a water pump converter kit for winterizing, and it's permanent. Same with the RV bypass or water heater bypass kit. So this would go on your RV water pump. There's instructions on it that tell you how to do it. There's pictures. So if you just follow the instructions, and like I said, if you go to smartrver.com and look at episode 109, there'll be links to these instructions. They'll be on our website, the smartrver.com. So it's just important that you get it done. It doesn't matter which way you go with it. Just get it done. Now, if you live in California, you know, Central, Southern California, Arizona, Texas, Florida, there's some places like that where you don't have to do a thing. It's just nice temperature all year round. So this isn't going to apply to you. Although in some of those states, it does freeze a little bit in the wintertime. You know, you might have in Arizona freezing temperatures in the month of January in the morning for a half an hour, depending on where you're at. So, you know, that you probably don't need to do anything about. It's not going to freeze the inside of the RV. If you had a water line laying on the ground, it might freeze it. So that might be worthy of consideration. Cover it or bring it in, or just make sure there's no water in it. So different areas do different things. But, you know, the main thing is to get it done. And then even in the wintertime, if you're not going to use your RV, even if you're in Arizona, someplace like that, just look at it as an opportunity to get out there and check everything out before you stop using it for 5 or 6 months. Just a good way to get some of that maintenance done. And then while you're doing this, you're just looking at the whole RV. So it's a good time to just see everything it might need, and you might look at it and say some of this stuff can definitely wait till springtime. So make a list, put it on the list, and keep the list going. You know, there's always something to do with an RV, but keeping track of it's most important. So when you're out using the RV, it doesn't come back and bite you. All right, so go to the smartrver.com and download the complete guide to winterizing your RV's fresh water system today. That way you have it. All right, so now we're going to the next stop. Today we are going to Bristol, Tennessee.
Woohoo!
I had to pause there because I always think of Bristol, Indiana.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
You know, the RV capital of the world, and that's where Bristol Manufacturing is. It's owned by LaSalle Bristol.
Hey, I didn't know that.
So there you
cool.
go. So that's how my mind works. It's always in RV mode.
I love it.
For better or worse.
Exactly.
Okay, so Alexis, this is your area of specialty.
Yes.
What is there to see in Bristol? Why would I want to go to Bristol, Tennessee?
Well, do you like race cars?
I do.
Then that might be a really good reason, because they have the Bristol Motor Speedway there. Very, very popular, very exciting.
All right, I'm glad you brought that out, because I was going to call you out on that one. Yeah, so that's, you know, a lot of these speedways in Bristol and some of the others, they're just cool to see no matter what.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know? Especially if you could get in there after hours or one that's deserted.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's a great place to go. You can spend a week in there for a big race. That'd be nice. And so what else is there to do besides the racing? That's not for everybody.
Right. That's pretty exciting. But there's also the Bristol Caverns. I guess you can go down there and take a tour. That might be kind of fun if that interests you. There's also a really big lake there, South Holston Lake. So if you're into fly fishing, that might be a good option for you.
Okay. So back to the caverns. Would this be similar to like Carlsbad Caverns, do you know? It's in New Mexico.
I think it's kind of similar to Lewis and Clark Caverns.
Okay.
If
So
there's a comparison. Yeah.
Okay. So most everybody knows about Carlsbad Caverns. You know, it's quite a place to see. But, you know, any set of caverns you can find are pretty cool.
Right, exactly.
You know, even if they're not the same as the last ones you're at, they're still very interesting.
Yeah.
You know? There's some in Arizona, I can't think of the Karcher Caverns.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
They're pretty cool. And so, yeah, all right. So that would be a good one to go see.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely something you want to bring a camera with you.
Oh, yeah.
Go do. Because sometimes when you take a camera in those dark places, it brings out stuff that you can't see with your eyes when it flashes.
Yeah, like bats or something.
Bats or anything. It'll bring out the colors. They might be more vibrant than what your eyes can see.
Yeah, that's true.
Unless they have it really lit up. And now the lake has trout and fly fishing. Is there anything else going on at the lake? Can you water ski there? Or?
I'm pretty sure you can do whatever interests you. They probably have kayaking, all that kind of thing. So might want to explore that a little bit.
All right, very good. And then we're always talking about food wherever we go.
Oh, yes. Got to have food places in mind.
What's on the menu in Bristol, Tennessee?
Well, for one, there's Cootie Brown's. I think that's kind of a southern thing. I think it's a chain. They have barbecue there. So
barbecue.
Yes, barbecue.
Barbecue's always good, no matter what, right?
That's right.
Doesn't even matter.
Exactly.
Sometimes bad barbecue's good.
As long as you put enough sauce on it, it's always good.
There you go. Yeah, good barbecue sauce. That's important too. And coleslaw or slaw.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so what else is there? Not everybody might want barbecue, so...
Right. They also have a restaurant called The Angry Italian. So you can imagine what they serve.
The Angry Italian. Sounds interesting. Good name. Mm-hmm. There's always an Italian restaurant, it seems like, everywhere.
Oh, yeah, usually.
Mexican food, Italian food, but Italian food's always good.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sometimes not everything on the menu might be good, but they always have something that's good.
There's something, yeah.
All right, so now you've eaten at one of these places. What about dessert? You going to get dessert there at Cootie Brown's, or are you going to go someplace else?
Actually, I would recommend Aubrey's because they're famous for their peanut butter pie. So if you're a peanut butter lover, you got to try it.
Peanut butter pie. So that must be like a cream that's made with peanut butter.
Exactly.
Can you imagine a pie, just solid peanut butter?
That'd be pretty hard to eat.
Yeah, it wouldn't be good, would it?
No.
PB&J pie. Okay, so I'm sure there's more places to eat there. Those are the ones that just stood out to you as being, the really good places.
Yep.
Or the unique places. Okay, so now what about staying in Bristol, Tennessee?
Oh, man, yeah, there's so many places to stay. For one, if you want to stay close to, if you're coming there for the Speedway, a good place to stay would be the Bristol Campground and Event Parking because it's right next to the Speedway. They have, I mean, it's so huge. They have over 2,700 camp spots there, so you'll probably find one.
Wow.
For that.
So that'd be nice. And there's one at the lake as well, or a couple?
Yeah, there's a Lakeview RV Resort, and they advertise free Wi-Fi. And then Lake Retreat RV Park. It's supposed to be really pretty there.
Okay, very good. So free Wi-Fi, remember that. You can get there and check out the smartrver.com on their internet for free.
Yeah.
Can't beat that. Well, you probably can, but while you're there, check it out. Okay, so then one of these has really good views you mentioned here, Lake Retreat RV Park. Yeah, it's supposed to be really pretty, really good views of the lake if you're going to stay there. All the camp spots are close. Right, so the one at the Speedway or next to the Speedway has 2,700 camp spots. Mm-hmm. I'm sure that's like cattle, you know. Yeah. You know, you're going to be there for the weekend and for the race, so the race is going to be the focus of your attention. But if you're there kind of for the weekend and the race and other things, one of these other places might fit you better. Yeah, exactly. Unless you're just the diehard race fan, because I'm sure it's pretty interesting to be in a campground with 2,700 RVers wanting to watch a NASCAR race. It's probably pretty fun. Pretty rowdy. All right, so when's the best time to go? Well, you know, I mean, you can travel to here any time of the year, but April to June seems to be really the hot spot to go because it's really good weather and the races are at their high peak. So if you're going for that, you might want to check out these months to travel. Okay, very good. So, you know, we do these next stops, and they're not always totally timed with the seasons because, well, we're just throwing stuff out there, giving you guys things to think about. Yeah. You know, next April, if you're planning on going there, will come quickly. Yeah. Yep. You know, we're in October, and so it's going to be there right away. And, you know, like in our store and stuff, we try to plan stuff months in advance because time goes by so quick. Yes. And you know, you guys have busy lives as well. and time flies. And so planning ahead. And so sometimes things might seem out of sync with the seasons, but we're just throwing stuff out there.
That's right.
Seeing what'll stick for you. You get on the map and look at, hey, that'd be a cool place to go. We're going to make our plans for April.
Yeah, absolutely.
And maybe you're not into racing or fishing, but there's other reasons to go there, just checking out different spots.
Yeah.
All right, so now we're going to talk about RV envy. Now, winterizing supplies, things to winterize your RV, probably is not going to make your neighbor too envious. Probably not make anybody real envious because, just winterizing is work. You got to put some stuff on the water heater if it doesn't have it. So everything that you're going to need for winterizing, I'm just going to make this simple, is going to be on our website at smartrvpartcenter.com. I used to say Arizona RV Parts Center. Now it's smartrvpartcenter.com, okay? So when you go there, that'll be the new name. Hopefully a new look. Time. Remember I just talked about time. Because everything you need, maybe your RV's already set up for it and all you need is RV antifreeze. So you just got to go to the local RV store and buy some RV antifreeze. And speaking of which, you do want to buy some early because people do run out of it. Sometimes it becomes very hard to get. Come October, November, December. I think last year in January, we were down to like 3 gallons, 6 gallons for almost the rest of the season.
Yep.
So you want to get it early. And we sold a lot of it. It goes fast, especially if there's a cold snap that comes out of nowhere. Then you can get caught off guard. But your RV might be set up for it, so you don't need anything other than RV antifreeze. But if your RV hasn't been winterized and it needs stuff, then you want to get on that early as well because even the supplies can become short. So check out your RV. If it's new to you, see what it needs. If you've already had it for a couple winters, then you know exactly what to do. So go to the smartrvpartcenter.com, and I'll have a link on the website, episode 109, at thesmartrver.com. Names might get confusing. Everything's revolving around the smart RVer. Do you see a theme there? Okay, so one other thing. So that's we're coming to the end of the show here. That went by quick, or it seemed like it went by quick. It seemed that way, Alexis?
It did.
Maybe it's because we're recording it 2 different ways. Millions of people watching it every time. It's very powerful. Plays with the mind. So one thing we're going to start doing that's going to be new, besides today and how we're doing this show, on every other Friday. So our podcasts come out bi-weekly. So the weeks in between, on Friday, we're going to have what is called Free Tip Friday. It's going to be 1 tip in 10 minutes. And that will be recorded on audio and put on YouTube. So either way. So if you're listening to iTunes, you'll get it on iTunes. If you prefer to go to YouTube, it will be there. So that's going to start November 4th. So November 4th will be the beginning of Free Tip Friday. 1 tip in 10 minutes.
Mark your calendars.
Mark your calendars. If they ever say that by mistake at a NASCAR race. Gentlemen, mark your calendars. All right, so I want to thank everybody for listening today, and Alexis coming in and helping us out with the next stop. So this is Eric Stark with the Smart RVer Podcast. It's been great hanging out with you. If I don't see you on the road, let's connect at thesmartrver.com.